Hi, Caledonian Biker, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm at Douglas Park Motorrad BMW in Glasgow, and it's all about the R1300 again, another new R1300. This time it's the RT version, the Super Tourer. So please stick around while I tell you all about my first ride review on the bike after my short intro video. Roll the intro. And this is the baby for today. This is the BMW R1300RT. All new, all singing, all dancing. All new from the ground up. As you see with the machine, it's in the triple black colour. And this has not got the top box on it. It's not got the side flaps that comes up either. It's more of the standard model on this one. It's not the different variant from what you've got where you can spec them up on the configurator and spend all your money to your heart's desire. It doesn't have the stereo on it either, but I've been told the stereo is very effective. We've got the 4 buttons here. It used to be down the left hand side in the older bike for your pre-settings. Your mode buttons up here for starting the bike up, and you've got your 10¼ inch TFT screen on this bike, which is super duper. You can also get maps up on it as well, and you can pay for a few other extras that can go back through it, but you watch with your Bluetooth. Then you've got your mode buttons here, so we've got road, we've got dynamic pro, we've got on the dynamic pro we can actually set the bike up with its suspension, and that changes to give you a more sportier ride as well when it goes on to you. Same switch, same setup as what we've got in all the BMWs. And we've also got this new feature with the BMs where you've got your case and you can put your phone in there and it can charge up while you're on the move. So without further ado, we'll get the bike fired up and we'll get it out and get down to the nitty gritty. I thought I'd bring out the outgoing R1300RT and park it up right next to the 13RT. It just gives you a wee kind of concept how much this new one has actually slimmed down. You can see by the aerodynamics of the new one, this put it to the gym and it shed a few pounds in looks, when actually it's 2 kilos heavier than the old one. But it's got more sportier look, more sportier suspension, and it's got the bigger engine, and the engine is the ticking heart of the bike. So without further ado, let's get out and enjoy it. So there we have the big 10¼ inch TFT screen in front of us. I've got it on road mode, and they've even given me fuel. Thanks very much, Douglas Park. 163 miles of fuel there. Right away, the big difference is the mirror's down. I'm not used to that when the mirror's been down. But they look as if they get round my big torso okay. And I think we're good to go. Let's go and get this big machine put through its paces. With this engine, as I've said before, it's just ticks all the boxes for me. I'm a great fan of torque. I think torque's more important than brake horsepower. So this bike's putting out 150 Newton meters of torque, or 110 pounds-foot, depends what currency you deal in. I've got the engine brake horsepower, that's sitting at 145. Brake horsepower, so you're 9 brake horsepower up on what you had with the RT1250. Right, that's us on to the M8 motorway now, and we're going to be heading out towards South Lanarkshire and get ourselves some nice roads for this big bike. Right away, sitting on the bike, it does feel a lot slimmer than the 1200 and 1250s I've ridden myself in the past. Super smooth gearbox as you would expect from this engine, with a quick shifter up and down. Screen, as you see with the camera here, it is a fair height with the electric screen. I sit in a fully upright position, and I'm experiencing absolutely no buffeting whatsoever with this screen. I'm 6'4", and I'm surprised that I'm getting absolutely no buffeting with a big screen. Very impressive. Well done, BMW. The bars themselves, I would say they're a bit closer to me now than what the bars were in the older one. They were probably wider, but the switchgear on the bike itself, typical BMW, very familiar with it all, with the setup. You've also got your SOS button there. You've got your mode switch to take you through the 7 different modes on the machine that you can pre-set up. You've also got your cruise control on the bike, and the wheels there for you spinning through your dash. And you can also, as I think I said already to you, you can connect up the maps, and you'll get your maps on the screen as well. Feet position, obviously it's higher foot pegs for me than I'm used to with the GS, but I'm not thinking it's particularly high. It's okay, my knees aren't too cramped, and the actual rider seat itself appears just now to be quite functional for me, the way my knees are and the way I'm sitting on the seat. So I'm looking forward to the B roads with the bike and getting into the dynamic pro mode. In the dynamic pro mode, that changes the bike. It actually puts the nose down a wee bit and it lifts the back. This is a new thing that BMW's brought out now with this model. It's not got it in the GSAs. It's got it similar to the GSAs at the front with a telly lever, where you've got the spring there and it acts hard and soft for you. But the new model now, and the para lever for this bike in the back, has hard and soft as well. And that actually promotes it when you put it in dynamic pro mode and lifts the suspension up for you to give it a more sportier feel, and dips the nose down a wee bit. So I'm looking forward to testing the bike's new style suspension out, which is quite similar to what's been happening with other bikes I've been testing from BMW this year so far. With the R13R, with the telescopic electronic forks, and the R13RS that I've done reviews on, both are on the channel. These I've also got all new singing and dancing suspension. So BMW R&D have certainly been hard at work over the last few years to bring us all these new models, coupled with the new engine, the R1300 motor. And as I said before, with the torque figures, it's very impressive, because your R1300 motor has actually got more torque than a KTM 1390 Super Duke in standard form. So there's a lot to be said for the big boxer engine that they've produced, being the most powerful boxer engine that they've had to date. Obviously on the boxer engine as well, we've got to consider servicing costs. And as I said before, with the BMW, you're getting the 3-year no quibble warranty with that, which is fantastic. It's a luxury bike and it's a luxury product, and to get the warranty with no quibble just adds to the complete package of it all. So with that servicing cost, you've got to consider, if you want to go down the road of taking the package out, which I've harped on about before in a few of my other reviews, you're getting the package on this big motor for just over £1,000 for your 4-year servicing, in comparison to just about £1,600 if you were to do it normally. So I think with the amount of saving you've got there, £400 or £500, however it's going to work out at, it's well worth the effort. So please consider that when you're buying the bike, that you take out a service package with it. Long term you're going to save yourself a good bit of money. Another great thing about the BMWs, when you come down to trading them back in again, I've had 5 GSs now, and I've always had top trade-in prices when I've came to trade the bike back in, especially keeping the service history up. And that's even with the higher miles that I normally do, because the amount of running about I do on the bikes all the time, as you probably see on the channel. So a lot of boxes ticked with BMW brand with regards to the models, the engineering, what they put into them with research and development, what it's cost you for servicing, and what you're getting back when you come to trade the bike in. So all food for thought, and please show due diligence in your own parts when you're considering these bikes in the future. There's no doubt in it that these bikes are designed for continent busting, and they're thoroughly enjoyable for doing that sort of thing. Your autobahns in Germany, your top quality roads throughout Europe that I've experienced myself, and with the easy switch on cruise control, you can just sit back and have a nice relaxing ride with the big R1300 engine below you. Very smooth engine. They've moved the gearbox right underneath the engine now with the used model style, and the gearbox is super smooth as well, and the power's there for whatever you want to do, if it's overtake or just to sit back and enjoy yourself cruising across the continent. As we're on the motorway just now, it's quite a windy day, and I'm still not experiencing any form of buffeting coming into me from this windscreen, whether over the top or down the side. So very impressive for that. Now on the comfort aspect, that's a few miles I've been doing just now, and I'm finding the seat very comfortable. The pillion gets even more comfort than what the rider gets, and that's not very usual. With the new model, you're getting more upgrades for the pillion. The pillion seat's heated, as is the rider's, but what the pillion's got is actually heated grab rails as well, and they can just put their hands down there, turn on the grab rail heating switch, which is located next to the grab rail, and that's them, they're sorted. They've got their heated hands. And guess what else? Yep, they've actually come out with another one. It's a new one in me. The top box, if you want to upgrade, you can get a heated top box, and that's going to allow the passenger to lean back on the bike and get their back heated as well when they're riding on this pillion on the bike. Go BMW, very forward thinking. Right, that's us into some nationals now with the big RT13. Very smooth through the box there. Before you know it, you're your national speed limit with just a very few millimetres of the throttle, and she just sits the road superbly. As I say, not much buffeting when we were on the motorway, so we'll see what it's like when we're on the B roads. So range wise with this, we've got a 24 litre fuel tank, and we've got a range of 300 miles, which is quite impressive because that's about 40 miles up on the RT1250. So well done BMW with that one. It's probably part and parcel of the fact it's gained a couple of kilos in weight, up to 281 kilos now. But again, it's certainly hiding its weight. My experience of riding the 12 RTs and the 1250 RTs, those bikes felt a bit bulkier than this. This actually feels, dare I say it, it's quite sporty. With this new style fairing that it's got, it certainly slimmed it down in all capacities, and the bike feels very stealth for what it is. On the subject of the fairing, we've actually got flaps that come up on the side of it, not on this model, but on the more expensive model, and that alleviates the heat from the engine if you're in a warm country. Maybe not so much in Scotland, right enough, and allows the hot air from the bike to disperse, similar to what they've got on the Motor Guzzi V100S model. So seat wise, you've got varied amount of seats, so they start off at 780 for your low seat, so there are not many folks going to be miss out on this bike because of the length of their inside leg. So it's a fix for most people, and the seat height can be varied up until you get to the tallest of riders. So again, well done BMW, thinking for the masses and not just individuals. This bike, very smooth coming round the corners there, you don't even need to think about it before you know it. She's got herself onto the next straight. Very impressive the way this big thing handles so far, what I see on the B roads. We'll look for ones a wee bit more twisty right enough, and then we'll get her into dynamic pro mode and we'll see what she's going to be all about then. So let's look forward to that. So that gets us out into the kind of twistiest nationals now, and I've selected the dynamic pro mode as you see there on the dash. So it's really putting the bike into a sportier mode with this dynamic pro. What we're doing is we're softening up the front, the nose is going down, and we're pumping up the back. It's getting a bit harder, and it's just to set the bike up into a kind of more sports bike feel with the bike. Certainly the bike does not feel it's 281 kilos in this kind of tighter, twistier road that we're on just now. It certainly knows how to hide it. You feel yourself right away that the bike's just a bit stiffer now when it's went into the dynamic pro mode, and it's actually encouraging you to give it a wee bit a handful and attack the corners. This new system that they've developed is the first one, the first bike that's had it, is softer at the back, so it's quite interesting to get a feel for it. So with the big bike, with this suspension change, it certainly inspired me with confidence. The bike itself's also inspired me with confidence today when it's set up with the brakes and the tyres. The brakes are your Brembo, obviously badged up with the BMW name on it, and you've got the 310 fuel discs at the front with the 4-pot calipers radial mounted. On the rear you've got the 285 with a 2-pot, more than adequate for what's required to bring this 281 kilos down when you need to get around the corners. And from the rubber perspective, we've got the Michelin Road 6s, very popular tyre with most riders of the BMWs, and we've got a 120/70/17 on the front, giving a nice feedback as you see with these corners, and we've got the 190/55/17 on the back. Again, good set of tyres, good mileage out it for what the bike's achievable, and cutting across continents, you're getting a good return for your rubber. I was just thinking that I would do a wee bit of lane riding since I'm out in the countryside. It's not always you're going to be on autobahn or you're going to be in quite easy to manoeuvre about B roads, just for the manoeuvrability of the big bike with the panniers on laden up. And I'll just get a wee run down this lane in a single track thing and let you see how nimble she actually is. Very impressive with the steering on it, with the bars coming closer towards me and narrower than what they were in the old bike. The actual steering of the bike's quite simple. They've worked it out quite well with the way they've pulled the bars back and narrowed them down. And on this narrow lane, the big bike's just sitting there as if it was on the motorway. It's that comfortable and confidence inspiring. Very impressed BMW, good work again in this field. We'll do a wee bit in the town later on just to see what it's like, manoeuvrability in and out of traffic and into a car park as well. Yeah, this big bike certainly got a lot going for it. I would say with the confidence you're getting in your Dynamic Pro on the twisties, you could easily say to yourself, this is a one-fit-all bike. You could be doing your scratching on a Sunday out with your mates 40% of the time, even 60% of the time, and then getting yourself onto a tour, weekend away, loaded up with the missus, or just get away with the pals. And I don't think this big bike would disappoint in any shape or form. I'm finding it a pleasure to ride in these kind of tighter twisties here. Gearbox super slick, as I know already with the 1300 motor. And the big bike's just gliding along here. Confidence inspiring the whole time. I'm well impressed with what she's given us, and I think you would be as well. So definitely get yourself out there and get a test ride on the R13RT. I don't think you'll be disappointed in any shape or form after you've had a test ride in one of these. Especially the fact that there's no real competition for this bike out here. The competition was the Honda ST 1300 Pan-European, but Honda stopped making that bike, and it was actually finished up on a bit of a cloud in the UK. What had happened was these bikes are used with the cops quite a bit, and one of the guys who was riding it, one of the officers, went into a high-speed weave and get killed. So obviously there was a coroner's inquiry into it, a big inquest. So much so the coroner actually wrote to all the chief constables in the UK, advised them of his findings, and really kind of deemed the bike unsafe. So much so it was then tested by a DVLA rider, and he was doing a similar test to what the police officer was doing and police officers would do when they're riding the bikes. And this DVLA tester actually came off in the exact same circumstances. He hit a big wave when he was riding at high speed, came off, broke his leg and broke both his wrists as well. So that kind of put the shutters on the big Honda. So BMW, you've got to admire them. They're taking on a market there where obviously a lot of cops are going to ride these bikes, emergency services, and the bike's going to be pushed probably beyond any limits that anybody else is going to do on the road with the cops riding it. So it's fair play to BMW that they've picked up the mantle and they've continued with the RT version for emergency services. So again, well done BMW. So as I said, I'm going to do a wee bit of town riding with a big bike. I keep referring to it as a big bike. It's certainly not feeling like a big bike. So we're just going to go down into a typical town centre, have a wee manoeuvrability through the one-way system, bring it into the car park, and it just assimilates to what you would do yourself if you were out on a Sunday run, or you're away somewhere and you're finding somewhere to get a coffee and have a break. So everything just feels so smooth with a big bike. It really does. I'm actually quite happy with the big bike, just to filter down here as well, even though knowing the panniers are there and it's quite a narrow street. Just gives you the feel of what it's like in the town. So as I said, I was going to do a wee bit of town riding. So this is us in a kind of built up area, typical town you would be using if you were going for a coffee or something, and you were out on the Sunday, or if you were going out touring around the continents looking for somewhere to have something to eat. Very similar to the setup you would get there. So I'm finding the big bike quite nimble, just moving about here, looking for parking. So we couldn't get more busier, a little centre than that just now there. And the big bike's done a couple of loops round the car park, round about where all the bad shoppers are. And it's admirable, absolutely admirable. How is that? Impressive. So after that said, having a wee run about, I think it's time for me to take the R1300RT back to the dealership, and it's certainly got to thank BMW for putting a big smile on my face today, and likewise I've got to thank the staff at Douglas Park BMW Motorrad in Glasgow for allowing me the machine to do a review for you today. See you back at the dealership. Aye, Caledonian Biker, thanks for sticking around. That's me back at the dealership, as I said, and what an inspired ride I've had today in the R1300RT LE edition. It's not got all the pigs and whistles. You can go into the configurator and spend all your money and configure whatever you want on it, but it's got a few, and it's all I was really needing today, and it certainly put a big smile on my face. So as far as I'm concerned, the R1300RT gets a massive big thumbs up from me, and I would just like to thank you all for sticking around to the end of this video. It's probably a bit longer than normal, and anyone who's not subscribed, hopefully inspired to subscribe free of charge. So I'll catch you next time. All the best, Caledonian Biker.